The city never sleeps. The streets buzz with the chaotic symphony of honking cars, hurried footsteps, and distant chatter. A yellow taxi rolls up to the curb, its paint chipped and dulled by years of wear. The driver, a middle-aged man named Larry, drums his fingers impatiently on the wheel. Another long shift, another dollar barely earned. Then, the back door opens. A man steps in, dressed in a simple but expensive-looking jacket. His hair is slightly tousled, his sunglasses perched casually on his nose. There's an effortless confidence about him, but nothing too flashy, just enough to suggest he's someone important. Larry barely looks at him. "Where to?" he grumbles, already eager to get this ride over with. The man shifts slightly in his seat. "Downtown. Roosevelt Hotel." Something about the voice tugs at Larry's memory, but he brushes it off. Just another rich guy, probably a businessman or some influencer who thinks the world revolves around him. The cab moves through the congested streets, weaving between cars as Larry mutters under his breath about tourists, bad drivers, and how no one tips properly anymore. Then, the silence starts getting to him, that he glances at his rearview mirror. The man is just sitting there looking out the window, not saying a word. No small talk, no pleasantries. Just an eerie calm that rubs Larry the wrong way. "You one of those guys who think they're too good to talk to cab drivers?" Larry scoffs, gripping the wheel tighter. The man doesn't respond. That irritates Larry even more. "Figures," he mutters. "I get all kinds in here. Tourists, big shots, wannabe celebrities. None of them ever give a damn about guys like me working my ass off just to scrape by." Still, the man says nothing. Larry sneaks another glance at the mirror. There's no smug expression, no irritation, just quiet patience. That pisses him off even more. "You know what? I've had enough of this. You just sit there all quiet like you're some kind of king. I don't care how much money you got or how famous you think you are." Larry jerks the cab toward the curb, slamming the brakes so hard the tires screech. "Get out." For the first time, the man shifts his gaze to meet Larry's in the mirror. There's no anger in his eyes, no fear, just understanding, like he's seen this before. Without a word, he reaches for the handle, opens the door, and steps out into the busy street. Larry watches him close the door gently behind him and walk away, disappearing into the sea of pedestrians that he scoffs. Good riddance. Then he notices something. Pedestrians are staring, some of them whispering, pointing in the direction the man just walked. Larry frowns. What the hell is going on? Then across the street, a giant billboard flashes. And there, in massive letters, is the face of the man he just kicked out of his cab. Tom Cruise. Larry's stomach drops. His fingers go numb around the steering wheel. No way. It couldn't be. His heart hammers in his chest as he realizes exactly what he's done. He just kicked Tom Cruise, one of the biggest movie stars in the world, out of his cab. And judging by the way people are already talking, someone probably caught the whole thing on camera. Larry swallows hard, dread creeping in. He just made the biggest mistake of his life. Larry's hands are sweating. His pulse pounds in his ears. He grips the steering wheel like a lifeline, but it doesn't stop the sinking feeling in his gut. His eyes dart to the rearview mirror, scanning the sidewalk where Tom Cruise had just walked away. He's already gone, swallowed up by the bustling city crowd. For a moment, Larry considers just driving off, pretending this never happened. But then, ding! His phone screen lights up with a notification. "Dude, did you just kick Tom Cruise out of your cab?" Larry's stomach twists. He stares at the message in disbelief, his hands trembling slightly as another one pops up. "Bro, you're all over Twitter." He fumbles for the phone, unlocking it with shaky fingers. The screen floods with texts, missed calls, and social media alerts. His name is trending. His cab number is being shared. Someone, maybe multiple people, filmed the entire encounter. One video in particular is already going viral. Larry hesitates before tapping on it, his heart hammering against his ribs. That it's shaky footage, probably taken from across the street. The camera zooms in just as Tom Cruise steps out of the cab. The audio crackles, but his own voice is crystal clear. "I don't care how much money you got or how famous you think you are. Get out." The video catches Tom Cruise's reaction. Calm, composed, unfazed. He closes the door gently and walks away as if this is just another Tuesday for him. The comments are brutal. At Film Fanatic 99, did this cabbie really just kick out Tom Cruise? Bro, your career is over. At City Watcher NYC, imagine being this stupid. Man fumbled the biggest tip of his life. At Lexi_102, Tom Cruise is literally the nicest guy in Hollywood. What did this taxi driver do? Larry's face burns with shame. He scrolls through endless posts, memes already being made at his expense. Someone edited his cab with a giant L on it. Another GIF loops his exact moment of realization, zooming in on his horrified face after seeing the billboard. But the worst part, Tom Cruise hasn't said a single word in a tweet. No Instagram post. No PR statement. The silence is deafening. Larry's fingers twitch over his phone screen. Should he post an apology? Try to explain himself? Maybe say he was having a bad day, that he didn't realize who he was kicking out? Then another text, but this one isn't from some random Twitter user, that it's from his boss. Office. Now. The consequence is 20 minutes later. Larry is standing in front of his manager's desk, sweating through his shirt. The office is small, cluttered, the air thick with the scent of cheap coffee and frustration. Across from him sits Tony, his supervisor, a man built like a bulldog with arms crossed and a scowl deep enough to carve into stone. You want to explain to me, Tony growls, why the hell I'm getting phone calls from every news station in the city asking about some dumbass cabbie who kicked Tom Cruise out of a car. Larry shifts on his feet. Look, Tony, do you have any idea what you've done? Tony cuts him off, slamming a fist on the desk. Sponsors are pulling out, the company's PR team is in full meltdown, and I got execs breathing down my damn neck. Larry swallows hard. I didn't recognize him, he mumbles. Oh, so that makes it better. Tony snaps. That means you're not just an idiot. You're an idiot who doesn't pay attention. Larry clenches his fists. It's not like he said who he was. He just sat there all quiet, acting like he was too good to talk to me. Tony leans forward, nostrils flaring. Or maybe he was just minding his business while you acted like a jackass? Larry flinches but says nothing. Tony sighs, rubbing a hand over his face. Corporate wants me to fire you. Hell, I should fire you. But I convinced them to hold off. Hope flickers in Larry's chest. Wait, so I'm not fired yet? Tony corrects. But if you want to keep your job, you're going to fix this. And fast. Larry's heart sinks. How? Tony slides a business card across the desk. Larry picks it up and stares at the name. Tom Cruise below it, an address. That's his hotel. Tony says gruffly. Go there, apologize, grovel if you have to, and pray to whatever God you believe in that he's in a forgiving mood. Larry grips the card, his pulse racing. This might be his only shot at fixing everything. And yet a deep, uneasy feeling settles in his gut, because something tells him Tom Cruise already knows exactly what he's doing. The address on the business card burns in Larry's palm like a hot coal. The Roosevelt Hotel. The place is legendary. Celebrities, politicians, and billionaires stay there. It's not the kind of place a cabbie like him ever steps into. Larry parks his taxi a block away, his fingers gripping the wheel so tightly his knuckles turn white. He takes a deep breath, trying to steady himself, but his mind won't stop racing. How the hell is he supposed to do this? What's he even supposed to say? Hey, sorry I was a jerk. Please don't ruin my life. Yeah, that'll go over well. That he checks his phone again. The internet is still relentless. Hashtag Tom Cruise cabbie is trending. More news outlets are picking up the story. People are sharing their own encounters with Tom Cruise. Every single one of them painting him as the nicest guy in the world. Larry feels like absolute garbage, but he steps out of the cab, heart hammering against his ribs as he walks toward the hotel. The doorman eyes him warily as he approaches. Larry knows he looks out of place. Faded jacket, worn-out shoes, and stress written all over his face. Can I help you? The doorman asks. Larry swallows. I need to see Tom Cruise. The doorman doesn't even blink. You and half the city, buddy. No, Larry fumbles in his pocket and pulls out the business card. I was told to come. His team gave me this. The doorman eyes the card, his expression unreadable. Then, to Larry's surprise, he nods. Follow me. Larry's stomach twists in and knots as he's led through the opulent lobby. Marble floors, golden chandeliers, staff moving efficiently like a well-oiled machine. He feels like an intruder, like everyone knows he doesn't belong here. The doorman stops at an elevator and gestures for Larry to step in. "He's expecting you," is all he says before pressing the button for the penthouse suite. The doors slide shut, but Larry's ears pop as the elevator ascends higher and higher. His pulse pounds in his throat. What kind of billionaire revenge plan is waiting for him on the other side of this door? Then, with a soft ding, the doors glide open. And there he is, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise's game begins. The suite is insane. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook the entire city, the skyline stretching endlessly into the distance. A sleek black couch, a bar stocked with expensive liquor, and a grand piano sit in the corner like something out of a movie. And standing near the window, his back turned, is Tom Cruise himself. He's no longer wearing sunglasses. His posture is relaxed, his hands in his pockets. But there's an energy in the air, something unreadable, something dangerous in its own way. "Come in," Tom says, his voice smooth and calm. Larry steps forward cautiously. He feels like he's about to walk into a trap. Tom turns to face him. His expression isn't angry. It isn't smug, that it's amused. Like he's playing chess, and Larry is just realizing he's been a pawn the whole time. "You must be Larry," Tom says, tilting his head slightly. "The internet's favorite taxi driver." Larry clears his throat. "Yeah, look, I wanted to say Tom raises a hand, stopping him mid-sentence. "Before you apologize, let me ask you something." Larry stiffens. "Oh, okay." Tom steps closer, studying him with an intensity that makes Larry's skin crawl. "Why did you kick me out?" Larry blinks. "What? You didn't recognize me. Fine. But why did you assume I was some arrogant rich guy? Why did you get so mad when I didn't talk?" Larry shifts uncomfortably. I don't know." Tom doesn't break eye contact. "Yes, you do." Larry exhales sharply, rubbing the back of his neck. I see people like you all the time. Fancy clothes, expensive watches. They treat guys like me like I'm invisible." Tom nods slowly, as if considering his words. "And so you decided to treat me like garbage first?" Larry winces. "I didn't mean to. I've been working these streets for years, and it feels like no one gives a damn. I let my frustration get the better of me." For a long moment, Tom just stares at him. Then, to Larry's utter confusion, Tom smiles. "Good," he says simply. That Larry's mouth goes dry. "Wait, what?" Tom leans against the bar, crossing his arms. "I was wondering how long it would take you to be honest." Larry stares at him. "You what?" Tom shrugs. "You think I don't know how people like you see guys like me? I get it. I've seen it 1,000 times." His voice is calm, but there's something calculated in his gaze. "And you know what, Larry?" Tom continues. "I could destroy you." Larry's stomach drops. Tom gestures toward the windows. "One call, and you'd never drive a cab again. I could have you blacklisted from every taxi company in the city. I could make sure no one hires you. Not as a driver, not as a waiter, not even as a janitor. I could make your name synonymous with arrogant cabbie who kicked out a Hollywood icon." Larry's knees go weak. Tom tilts his head. "But I'm not going to do that." Larry swallows hard. "You're not." Tom grins. "No, that would be too easy." Larry is officially terrified. Instead, Tom says, "I'm going to give you a choice." Larry tenses. "A choice?" Tom nods. "I have an event tonight. Big deal. Red carpet, cameras, the whole thing. And guess what? I need a driver." Larry's heart nearly stops beating. "You want me to drive you?" he asks, stunned. "That's right." Tom's smile widens. "But here's the catch. You don't just drive me. You'll be in the photos. You'll be in the spotlight. And everyone's going to be watching." Larry stares at him. "Why? What's the point of this?" Tom's expression darkens, just slightly. "Because I want to see what kind of man you really are," he says quietly. Larry feels a chill crawl up his spine. This isn't about revenge. This is a test. And somehow, that's even worse. That Larry's mind is spinning. 1 second. He was on the verge of getting fired. The next, he's standing in Tom Cruise's penthouse, being offered the most surreal opportunity of his life. Drive Tom Cruise to a red carpet event. Be in the photos? Why? Every instinct in Larry's body screams that this isn't just a simple job offer. This is a test, and failing it might be worse than just losing his career. Tom watches him, waiting for an answer, his expression unreadable that Larry's throat is dry. You really want me to be your driver tonight? Tom tilts his head, smiling slightly. I'm giving you a chance, Larry. You want people to see you as more than just the cabbie who kicked out Tom Cruise? Here's your shot. Larry glances at his phone. Social media is still on fire. People are laughing at him, calling him an idiot, a jerk, a fool who threw away the biggest tip of his life, that if he does this, if he drives Tom to this event, the entire world will see it, that they'll see his face, that they'll judge him. And Tom Cruise? He'll be watching him the whole time, analyzing every move, every reaction. This isn't just a test, that it's a game, and Tom is a master at it. Larry clenches his jaw. Screw it. Fine, he says, squaring his shoulders. I'll do it. Tom's grin widens. Good. He claps his hands together and gestures toward a sleek, black luxury car parked in the hotel's private garage. It's not just any car, it's a beast. A custom Rolls-Royce, the kind of vehicle that only royalty or billionaires would own. Larry whistles under his breath. You trust me with this thing? Tom smirks. That depends. Do I have a reason not to? Larry swallows. Guess we'll find out. Into the spotlight, the ride to the event is eerily quiet. Larry keeps both hands on the wheel, hyper-aware of Tom sitting behind him. The leather seats, the quiet hum of the engine, everything about this car screams power. But the real weight pressing down on Larry isn't the car, that it's Tom's silence. Every now and then, Larry catches him watching through the rearview mirror. Not judging, not gloating, just studying him, like he's still deciding something. The city lights flash past as they approach the event venue, a massive Hollywood gala packed with reporters, fans, and cameras flashing like fireworks. The moment they pull up, the crowd goes wild. Photographers swarm the car. Fans scream. Paparazzi lenses zero in on the vehicle like hawks, spotting prey, that Larry's hands tighten on the wheel. His heart pounds, then Tom leans forward. This is your moment, Larry. Larry swallows. My moment. Tom chuckles. Yeah, step out with me. Larry's blood turns to ice. No, 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 he mutters, shaking his head. That's not. People don't care about me. They care about you. Tom leans back, smirking. That's where you're wrong. And before Larry can argue, the door swings open. The roar of the crowd explodes. Larry barely has time to react before a wall of flashing cameras is in his face. The world sees him. The idiot cabbie. The guy who kicked out Tom Cruise, and now, he's standing right next to him. The internet melts down. Larry keeps his head down, his face burning. Tom, however, looks completely at ease. He waves to the cameras, shakes hands, signs autographs, like nothing is out of the ordinary. Larry? He wants to disappear into the pavement. Then he hears it, the murmurs, the whispers, the tweets going out in real time. At Pop Buzz Live. Wait, is that the cab driver? At Film Insider. Tom Cruise just showed up with the dude who kicked him out of a taxi. What is happening? At Legendary Laughs. Larry just went from viral meme to VIP. Bros living the dream. Larry sneaks a glance at Tom, desperate for some kind of explanation. Tom just grins. Then he leans in, just enough for Larry to hear. You feeling uncomfortable, Larry? Larry stiffens. Yes. Tom chuckles. Good. Now you know how I felt in your cab. Larry's stomach drops. The IT hits him like a freight train. This isn't about publicity. This isn't about some petty revenge. Tom wanted him to feel what it's like, to be judged, to be talked about, to be the guy everyone's whispering about without knowing the full story. And now, Larry gets it. The lesson: the cameras keep flashing. The questions keep flying. But Larry doesn't hear any of it, because for the first time tonight, he understands that he had judged Tom the second he stepped into that cab, assumed things about him, treated him like some spoiled celebrity before even giving him a chance. And now, here he is, experiencing the exact same thing. Tom watches him, waiting to see if he'll break. Larry takes a deep breath. He won't, that he stands taller, stops shrinking into the background. And when a reporter shouts, "Hey Larry, what's it like being here with Tom Cruise?" Larry finally answers. It's surreal, he admits. But I'm learning something important. The crowd leans in. Larry looks at Tom. I learned that sometimes the way you treat people says more about you than it does about them. Tom's expression flickers, just for a second. Then he smiles, and for the first time all night, Larry knows he passed the test. The moment lingers. The crowd continues snapping photos, reporters yell questions, and the bright lights of Hollywood shine down on Larry like he's stepped into an entirely different universe. And in a way, he has. Larry isn't just some random cab driver anymore. He's standing beside Tom Cruise, a man who just hours ago he had rudely kicked out of his car. Yet here he is still by his side. And for some reason, Tom is smiling. Not the smug kind of smile that says, I told you so. Not the fake Hollywood smile used for PR stunts. No, it's the kind of smile that says, you finally get it. Larry takes a slow breath, his heart finally starting to steady. The moment that changes everything, then Tom does something unexpected that he steps aside. Now the cameras are focused. Directly on Larry, that a reporter pushes forward, microphone in hand. Larry, this morning, you were just an ordinary taxi driver, and now you're here on the red carpet with Tom Cruise. How does it feel? Larry blinks, thrown off by the attention. Tom watches, arms crossed, waiting for him to answer. Larry swallows. He could say something shallow, something that would just get the press off his back. But instead, he speaks the truth. I'll be honest, he says, voice steady. I screwed up. The crowd goes silent. I was tired. I was frustrated. And when Tom got into my cab, I didn't see him as a person. I just saw what I wanted to see. Some rich guy who didn't care about guys like me. Tom raises an eyebrow, but he doesn't interrupt. Larry takes another breath, fully committing now. But I was wrong. The truth is, I treated him unfairly. And instead of making me look like the bad guy, he did something I didn't expect. A murmur ripples through the crowd. Larry looks at Tom. He gave me a chance to fix it. Tom's expression softens, just slightly. The cameras eat it up. More flashes, more questions. But Larry doesn't care. Because for the first time tonight, he's not worried about saving face, that he's just being real. Tom steps forward, putting a hand on Larry's shoulder. Well said, he murmurs. And just like that, the tension that had been hanging between them breaks. The crowd erupts. At Entertainment News, Tom Cruise just turned his biggest hater into his biggest fan. Legend. At MovieBuff23, I actually respect this cabbie for owning up to it. Props, man. At Hollywood Insider, Tom Cruise once again proving why he's one of the classiest guys in the industry. The narrative shifts. Larry isn't the villain anymore. Now, he's the guy who messed up and made it right. The aftermath of the event ends, and Tom and Larry slip away from the flashing cameras. They walk toward the parking lot, the noise of the crowd fading behind them. Larry shakes his head, still trying to process everything. You really planned all that? Tom smirks. Not all of it. Just enough to make sure you learned something. Larry exhales, running a hand through his hair. You could have just called me an idiot and moved on. Tom shrugs. Where's the fun in that? Larry laughs. For the first time all day, he actually laughs. Tom pulls out his phone, typing something. A second later, Larry's phone buzzes. He looks down. A deposit notification. Larry's eyes widen. Wait, this is $1,000. Tom grins. That's your tip. Late, but still counts. Larry's mouth drops open. You serious? Tom nods. I don't hold grudges, Larry, but I do believe in second chances. Larry stares at the notification. $8,000, that's rent money, that's bills paid, that's a fresh start. He looks back up at Tom, feeling something strange in his chest. Gratitude. Thank you, he says, actually meaning it this time. Tom gives him a small nod, then slides on his sunglasses. Take care of yourself, Larry. And with that, he turns and walks away, disappearing into the night like a scene straight out of a movie. Larry watches him go, shaking his head in disbelief. What a crazy, crazy day. He looks down at his phone one last time. The news, the social media explosion, the $1,000 tip. Then he pockets it, gets back in his taxi, and drives off into the city. This time, with a whole new perspective.